And I'm just so pleased to welcome up to the stage Michelle Malkin, who started the whole Stand With ICE movement.
Thank you, Patriots! I know it's hot out here, but we're bringing the heat. This is what it's all about. Stand with ICE. Stand with ICE.
Stand with ICE. Stand with ICE. Stand with ICE.
I know infiltrators here. This is what we're about. We stand with ICE because we stand for America. So the wind has been picking up a little bit. Have you felt that? There's a disturbance in the force. As many of you have probably learned, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is in our blessed state. In Boulder, apparently. Or as I call her, many of you know this, Alexandria Open Bordez. She has a squad, right? It's a mob. And all of you have joined our squad. The Freedom Squad. The Pro-America Squad. Thank you. AOC does not speak for me. And you know what? She may have a loud brown mouth, but my brown mouth is louder. For the last 25 plus years, I have reported on the immigration chaos and anarchy that have reigned from coast to coast, that have victimized and imposed suffering and costs and consequences, not just along the southern border, but across the interior of the country. Immigration is not a single issue, it is every issue. And if we do not stand for immigration enforcement, our country will fall. Are you for our country falling? No! Do you support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America?
Yes!
Do you stand for America?
Yes!
Well, that makes you a supremacist, racist, hater, xenophobe, blah, blah, blah.
Bring it!
And I'm proud to stand with you, unapologetically and without a hyphen. You have heard from, yes, that's right, we are the deplorables. You have heard from many incredible people, people who have served this country in uniform, people who have dedicated their lives to immigration enforcement, and I want to single out the young people in this audience who are the future of our country. Thank God. What we understand is that the forces that we are up against are very formidable, but they are not insurmountable. And it requires us to be silent. No more! Okay, we're going to be tolerant. No more of the increasing incitements to violence that we are seeing now from these so-called peaceful protesters, who, as my friend, another hero and patriot of mine, Andy Ngo, the independent journalist who was beaten bloody by Antifa and Occupy ICE thugs in the Pacific Northwest, has shown, these peaceful protesters are bringing with them batons, sticks, carbon knuckle fiber tactical gloves, weapons, and attacking facilities like this one because the people inside are committed to doing their jobs and protecting and serving. No more. No more American flags torn down. No more. That was a unifying moment. It was a galvanizing moment for me. And believe it or not, I wasn't always this loud brown woman with a big mouth. It is not easy, I understand. And many of you have been standing here now for 2-3 hours as we await these Soros minions coming here to deride us, to mock us, to smear the men and women on the front lines. And I appreciate your time, and it is courageous, especially in the face of fear-mongering, not only from our enemies, but unfortunately from many of our ostensible friends. And I will call them out. We have to have no fear. No fear! We're the ones who have no hate. No hate! We're the lovers of our country. We are the ones who have the compassion, who have the understanding and the comprehension that when it's those people who, in the name of tolerance and civility, are inducing people to do incredibly reckless things while other people profit. It is a global human smuggling racket that is imposing misery, not only in the people in our country, but people around the world. Enforcement is the most compassionate policy we can have.
That's right.
Yes. Stand with ICE. Yes. Stand with America. Stand together. You know this Cory Booker, this joker? Right? He calls himself Spartacus. Oh no. I am Spartacus.
Yeah.
You are Spartacus. We are Spartacuses. Spartacus I. My Latin training from my Catholic high school. We're the ones who must stand together in unity. And it doesn't matter. You know, I told people who didn't want to show up, who were fearful, I don't care if I'm the only one. All it takes is one voice. All it takes is one spark to light a fire. And we need the fire of liberty to be represented in these public spaces that have been hijacked by people who want to destroy it. Let's not mince words, and I don't mince them, do I?
No.
Those people want to destroy our country. It is a transnational agenda. And no, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. This is conspiracy truth. You've got the United Nations.
Agenda 21.
Yep.
You've got George Soros. You know, all of these young people who are being dragooned into these climate change protests, completely brainwashed.
Yep.
They're cogs in this machine to undermine American sovereignty. Are we a sanctuary nation?
No.
Are we a sovereign nation?
Yes.
And you can't just sit by on the sidelines and think that sovereignty is going to take care of itself. It takes each and every one of us to show up at rallies like this and show our faces and raise our voices and show our support. It takes each and every one of us to go to the ballot box. You know that the Soros network and the radical identity politics thugs are out there trying to undermine the electoral process. This is why it matters to have secure ID. This is why it matters that we have incredibly vigilant organizations like Judicial Watch out there protecting us, fighting these battles in court for electoral integrity against voter fraud. It matters. It matters. So I've been having these Stand With ICE rallies across the country, and as many of you know, we had one in Montgomery County, Maryland, and I've talked to folks who are also refugees from that crazy space. Nearly 1,000 people showed up, including Tom Fitton and Seb Gorka and Larry O'Connor and many of my friends from FAIR and grassroots activist organizations. We have to be united.
That's right.
Diversity is not our strength. Unity is our strength. And apparently that's a trigger word. It's a trigger phrase to talk about. Well, I'm all about triggering these people, right? We've got to press the panic button. And, you know, the only red flag I support is raising the emergency signal because our country is in danger. Will you sit by while they threaten us? No! That is why you're here. Now, these people can't get their acts together. All the billions that George Soros spends on these people, we've been waiting 3 hours here. They can't find their way from downtown to the center. What I want to do before we leave is line up everybody who has a flag and everybody who has a sign, and we're going to go right up to the barricade there. And the first thing that we're going to do is thank the men and women in uniform for keeping the peace. They have nothing to fear from us. We're not the ones going on social media and tweeting death threats to ICE and cops. And you all saw the video of the disgraceful behavior of these so-called peaceful protesters in the Open Borders mob. One of them telling an Aurora police officer to go home and, quote, swallow a bullet. Shame on them. Shame, shame, shame. Shame on these Open Borders radicals. I have chronicled in Open Borders Inc., my new book, an entire chapter on what I call the A-team. And no, they're not the good guys. Antifa, Abolish ICE, and the sanctuary anarchists. Somehow, Facebook and Twitter allow these people to put guides on how to stab and slit the throats of ICE agents. Shame, shame, shame on the open borders radicals. Now you've got the New York Times op-ed page, which brazenly publishes op-ed pieces calling on doxing and harassment, not just of ICE agents like the ones that work in this facility and the contractors at GEO and all of the good people who work in immigration enforcement, but against their families and their children. Who protects the children? We do. Who is for peace and safety and tolerance and civility? We are. I dedicated my book to 3 different groups of people, and I'm honoring them by standing here today and doing more than just sitting on the sidelines. And the first group are the people who work at the Department of Homeland Security, the Border Patrol, and ICE. Thank you. Thank you, Homeland Security. The second group of people that I honor are the angel moms and dads. Thank you, angel families. I want you to all thank them. Thank you, angel families. We talk and we hear about the separation of families by the other side, and yet they have not one iota, not one cell of compassion for the American citizens who've been permanently separated by their family members because of the immigration anarchy that exists in sanctuary cities, counties, and states that block communication between these federal ICE agents and local and state law enforcement. I have heard from many of them all across the country. They're disgusted by the fact that they have to work with their hands tied behind their backs and gags on their mouth. We need to free them. We need to back them to be able to do their jobs. End sanctuary. End sanctuary. End sanctuary. End sanctuary. You know, it is a disgrace. And I talk in my book about how American citizens, survivors of these illegal alien crimes, don't even have standing in American courts to sue the people responsible for the deaths of their loved ones. And that, in large part, is because of the illegal alien lawyers lobby funded by George Soros, and unfortunately funded in large part by our own tax dollars. We need to defund Open Borders, Inc. Defund Open Borders, Inc. Defund Open Borders, Inc. We need to start with our own pocketbooks, and we need to demand accountability of the people elected in Washington. Here's the message that is very important to hear. President Trump can't do it alone. He needs our help. He needs to be able to stay on the right path. He made this his primary campaign theme. He invited angel families to the stage to campaign with him at a time when Democrats spurned them and ignored them, and the Open Borders media whitewashed them from the pages of their newspapers and their airwaves. And unfortunately, too many establishment Republican Beltway types who put the almighty dollar in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce over the safety and security of American citizens. They all need to be called out.
Yeah, vote them out.
I am also here for a third group of people that I dedicated Open Borders Inc. to, and that is my friends and patriots who have been deplatformed and censored and shadow banned and silenced and relegated to the valley of the banned. You heard from Louie of the Proud Boys. I am very good friends with the founder of that group, an incredible patriot and articulate, wonderful communicator of ideas, Gavin McInnes, who, that's right, who is suing one of the groups responsible for the Open Borders Inc. propaganda that you see disseminating and seeping and metastasizing into public discourse, the Southern Poverty Law Center. The SPLC is the most ruthless and efficient smear machine in this country. And for as long as I have been working as an out-of-the-closet conservative patriotic journalist, this group has sought to smear and marginalize and ostracize and silence people like me and people like you. know your enemies. The SPLC has partnered with Silicon Valley to design algorithms, not just to go after blue check-marked big mouths like me, but ordinary citizens. And why is this? They're very explicit about their agenda. Thanks to another patriot and friend of mine, James O'Keefe at Project Veritas, we know from these Google whistleblowers that they have one goal in mind between now and Election Day 2020, to deny our president re-election. Will you let them do it? No! That's why we're here, to show up, to raise our voices, to counter the mob of resistance that wants to bring down America. What we're going to do. Where's my son? It's my arts and crafts project. I never knew I was going to sign up for this when I did this. We're going to stand with ICE. I want to gather everyone with a flag. We're going to line up. We're going to go right up to that barricade there. Thank ICE. Speak for those who cannot speak. And this is just the start. I said we've only just begun. I'm on a sanctuary city tour across America. This is being live streamed. This is being Facebook. This is being Twittered. We will not be throttled, and we will not be silenced. Silent? No more! God bless the USA. God bless each and every one of you. Take this spark, make it a fire for liberty from now until 2020 and beyond. Tell your children, your grandchildren, unbrainwash them from open borders propaganda, and stand with me and stand with ICE. God bless you. Let's go! All right, everyone with a flag.
Whose phone's up here? Michelle, is it yours?
Oh, it's Stacy's.
We're almost there.
Let's go, everybody.
So while you guys are walking over there for the picture, don't forget to sign the U.S. vote petition, U.S. citizen to vote in Colorado petition. And one right behind. Michelle reminded me about the angel families. I know you can hear me as you walk over. Maria Espinosa is the founder of the Liberty.
Let's go.
I landed from LA last night around midnight, and I've got 2 days here. I've been away for 14 days, so I'll be able to go home in 4 days. Tuesday. We can help with the world. That's fantastic. I'll text you.
Where's Karen?
And we should have Michelle and ask them to get up there.
Yes. Where's Steve Reed?
New lives matter. New lives matter. Thank you. Thank you. New lives matter. Thank you. New lives matter. Stand with ICE. Stand with ICE. Stand with ICE. USA. 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 With ICE. Stand 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 with ICE. Thank you, guys. Beautiful baby! A beautiful brown woman! Thank the black and blue! Thank you, brother! Thank you for doing what you're doing and keeping this nation great. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That officer has a nice smile. Appreciate it. Thank you. How do you boy? Thanks for what you're doing.
Where's the rest of you guys? I thought there was going to be a big crowd.
Let's see. Here they come.
USA! 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 USA!
Look at all that
Look at that, hammer and sickle. There it is, boys and girls. The Democratic Party openly supporting communism right there.
Supporting
USA, do it the legal way. It's not welcome in the legal way.
Come in the legal way. Come in the legal way. Come in the legal way.
Come in the legal way.
Come in the legal way. Come in the legal way. Come in the legal way.
Come in the legal way. Come in the legal way.
Hey, everybody, how about we sing God Bless America? I was getting this started up, huh?
Here's my papers.
All right, somebody help me start this off.
God bless America. Land and love. Stand beside her and guide her. The president and the light from above. From the mountains to the land, to the ocean. Wait for God bless America. doing a good job, man. You're doing a great job keeping people separated.
What's with all the feathers? What's with all the feathers? What's with all the feathers? Go to your safe space! 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 Go to your safe space!
We gotta say, we love you. We love you.
No, I don't. I want to say, we stand with ICE. We love ICE.
Stand with
We love ICE. Trump. Stand with ICE. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Your president. Donald Trump. Still your president. Donald Trump. Still your president. Donald Trump. Still your president. Donald Trump. 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 MAGA. 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 Stand with ICE! 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 Back the blue! 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 USA! 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 No! 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 Hey! Goodbye! No! 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 Hey! Goodbye! No! 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 Communism sucks! Communism sucks! Communism sucks! Go home, communist. Nobody cares.
Learn your history!
We do this because we love you, not because we hate you. Go home and forgive your father. Communists are not people. Show your face! 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 Show your face!
So I'm standing here with Randy Corcoran. He's one of our state coordinators from the great state of Colorado. He organized the Stand With ICE rally today. It's the second one that he organized. these people who want open borders and don't have any respect for the rule of law at all. And Michelle Malkin has been here. She's been fabulous, and she led us over to do this part of the protest part of the rally. Vinny, how do you feel about this turnout?
It's great. I just love everybody that came. This is the place where those people took down the American flag and burned it. They took down a Blue Lives Matter flag. They raised the Mexican flag. They broke all kinds of laws to do it. And we decided that's not happening again. And that's why we're here today. And you look around, those flags are safe. There are people on the roof. There's lines of law enforcement here. They're not going to take it anymore. And we stand with the men and women of ICE. We stand with the men and women in blue. And we stand with America. They don't. Now we got to go to the airport.
Just thank everybody for watching, man.
Oh, I want to thank everyone for watching. Please share this with your Facebook friends. Make sure that people know that across America and here in Colorado, we are standing with ICE. There's going to be another rally in Minnesota. I think it's on Tuesday. I'll be getting the information and emailing it to our list in that area, and we'll share it on social media as well. We have to continue to do this. We are not going to let these lawless people who don't respect our rule of law in this country and don't want the best for America